Officer, National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, Directorate of Health Services, Goa. Goa Malaria Elimination Project. Our vision, a mission to improve health, quality of life, and alleviation of poverty. Our goal is to attain elimination of malaria, that is zero indigenous transmission by 2022-23 in Goa, and also maintain malaria-free status in areas where malaria transmission has been interrupted and prevent reintroduction of malaria. There are various indicators for monitoring malaria caseload, like SPR, slide positivity rate, APR, annual blood examination rate, API, annual parasite incidence. Malaria elimination is based on the indicator annual parasite incidence, which is total number of positive malaria cases per 1,000 population. If achieved, Goa will be one of the first states to attain malaria elimination. Malaria in Goa is a migrant malaria due to influx of laborers. Even an indigenous local case can be traced to a nearby construction site or laborers staying or working in the vicinity. Our challenges are high influx of migrants for developmental and infrastructural projects from high endemic states for malaria. Screening them within 24 to 48 hours is a big challenge. There is a hidden sea of asymptomatic malaria carriers among the laborers coming from high endemic areas, which are undiagnosed during screening for malaria for health cards, which is mandatory as per Goa Public Health Care, resulting in transmission of malaria. The routinely used test for detection, that is rapid diagnostic test and smear for malaria parasite, can detect positivity if more than 50 parasite per cubic millimeter of blood is there. If anything less than that, the patient will not be diagnosed and he will be issued a health card and he may lead to transmission. The next thing is the tracking and tracing of the laborers. Goa being a small state, the contractors move their workers at various sites, north, south. So tracking is a problem. New area focus of villages. Earlier, laborers along with their families used to reside at a construction site. Now, as per labor laws, this is not allowed. Hence, they stay in rented places in villages close to the construction sites. Hence, new focus are developed at the villages. And since screening of family members is not mandatory, as per Goa Public Health Act, the families may be harboring malaria parasite, which could lead to transmission among the local population. Now, regarding the API, there is a gradual reduction in overall API from 0.17 in 2019 to 0.07 in 2020, North Goa being 0.11, South Goa 0.03, and then in 2021 it came down to 0.06, North Goa 0.10, South Goa 0.02. Although all the health centers have API less than 1, but some of the centers have API more than 1. In 2019, there were 5 sub-centers having API more than 1, which has come to 3 in 2020. And in 2021, we have at the moment 2 centers which have API more than 1. This year, we have to work towards getting API less than 1 in the sub-centers to achieve elimination. We have stratified the sub-centers and up to the village level, and continuous monitoring of active, cleared, and residual foci is needed. Goa has 33 health centers. Of this, 16 peripheral health centers in the north and 17 peripheral health centers are in the south. In the year 2021, 25 health centers, 10 in North Goa, 15 in South Goa have achieved zero indigenous transmission for malaria. Presently, there are 7 high-risk areas of malaria in the state of Goa. Here, there are major infrastructure projects with lot of influx, migrant settlement area, industrial units, tourism shacks, hotels, jetties. In the year 2022, the total health centers have increased to 34. One more health center is added this year. But out of these, 33 peripheral health centers have achieved zero indigenous status till date. This is an achievement. But I want to say that this is very dynamic situation. The statistic change If any major infrastructure project comes up with lot of migrant laborers, the cases go up. Hence, malaria problem in Goa is mainly a migrant malaria problem due to influx, I repeat. Innovations and progress towards malaria elimination. All imported cases from peripheral health centers are informed on a special mail with all the relevant details regarding the address to the headquarters LVBDCP DHS. All such imported cases are cross-notified to the concerned state program officer of the respective state with a copy to the director LVBDCP Government of India for preventive and control measures. LLIs, long-lasting insecticide-treated nets, are distributed to all the construction workers at the sites, also covering high-risk population in the community, such as antenatals, migrant hubs, BPL population in the high-risk area, free of cost. Micro plan for malaria elimination. Each health center has its own unique micro action plan in place with a facility appropriate strategies for prevention and control, which has a line list of construction, schools, government departments, sensitive zone, focal classification, rapid response team, calendar activity for awareness program, construction visit, etc., which helps in better supervision, monitoring, in prevention of cases. Real-time reporting system is being undertaken. All confirmed cases are reported on daily basis. Special formats are devised and also monitored at the headquarters by the state program officer. Line listing of all the positive malaria cases by microscopy are maintained by the health facilities compiled at the headquarters. Each and every case is investigated and case investigation form for every malaria case are maintained at the health facility. Quality assurance for microscopy, rapid diagnostic kits and anti-malarials is ensured at the NBBDCP DHS Goa in collaboration with Regional Office Pune, NID Pune, FDA Government of India. Regular trainings of lab technicians, healthcare functionaries are being conducted and completed before the transmission season so that health functionaries can start their work in the field. Integrated vector control measure is undertaken in the state. Larval source management of aquatic habitats ensured with release of larvicidal fish. Wells are introduced with fish. Line listing of wells are maintained with the health facilities. We have hatcheries at 29 health centers where breeding of larvivorous fish is undertaken, and this guppy fish is distributed to the general public to be introduced in their garden, ponds, fountains, free of cost to prevent breeding of mosquitoes. Environmental modification and manipulation by community intervention is undertaken, like pitches are filled up, which may lead to water stagnation and breeding. Legislative measures for ensuring larvicidal measures at a construction site as per Goa Public Health Act. As per Goa Public Health Act, the contractor is supposed to do the anti-larval measures at the curing sites at a construction. In case we find any breeding or it's not being undertaken, our healthcare functionaries take up these anti-larval measures. But they are fined of ₹10 per square meters is to be paid by the contractor. Also, as per Goa Public Health Act, screening of laborers before they join the construction site is mandatory and health card is issued to them. If any laborer is found at the construction site without a health card, a punitive action of ₹10,000 per labor the contractor has to pay. Reducing human vector contact to personal protection by use of mosquito repellents through awareness programs. We have undertaken various research projects for malaria elimination. Like first is the vector bionomics. This will give us information regarding seasonal and abundance of malaria vectors, their breeding habitats, fighting behavior, human feeding behavior, resting behavior, also infectivity rates, susceptibility to currently used insecticides. This information will be useful in understanding the impact of existing interventions on disease transmission and to design appropriate vector control strategies. The chemicals which we are using at the moment for antiviral and antihybrid, whether they are effective or not, will be known after this project. Second project which we have undertaken is a study on asymptomatic and low density malaria parasite infection in the community and its transmission potential in Goa. Earlier in the challenge, I had mentioned the presence of asymptomatic and low density malaria parasite infections, especially in the migrants, which remain undetected during the routine investigations. Hence, in this project, we collect the blood and treat the blood, check the blood under PCR, polymerase chain reaction, and under this, even if there are 5 parasites present, they will be detected, and the treatment can be promptly started, and thereby preventing transmission. The third project which we have undertaken is the community behavior.
Sorry for interruption, ma'am. Can you please control your presentation in a
Yes,
minute or two?
community behavior and its determinants in relation to malaria prevention and control. And this will tell us whether IC material which we are using are useful or they need to be modified. And the last is the development of the mobile app for real-time capturing and monitoring malaria cases among the migrant laborers. All these projects are conducted in 4 of the high-risk areas, 2 urban and 2 PHCs. Scalability, expansion of this research study to other high-risk areas, hotspots in the state of Goa, and achieve and sustain malaria elimination until other states achieve the same. Replicability, Goa has been a pioneer in research studies. The malaria elimination experiences learning from Goa project could be utilized to develop similar project in pan-India. Goa Public Health Act mandatory screening of all laborers and punitive action could be replicated in other states. I am also to state that our innovation and informing the imported cases to the respective SPO of that state for prevention and control measure has been replicated in the state of Karnataka and Delhi. Funds from National Health Mission and MIRA Malaria Elimination Research Analysis of NIMR give the funds. Roadmap to achieve API 0 in the remaining 2 subcenters by end of this year, to attain 0 indigenous cases and prevent infection until other state attain 0 indigenous cases, monitor each and every detected case, active case finding, the screening and tracking pattern treatment, and better intersectoral coordination, especially with the labor department, so that information regarding labor employed with the contractor can be achieved and prompt screening can be done. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good project. In fact, 2 things I would like to share with you. You have 7 high-risk zones. So
Yes.
what is these 7 high-risk zones of malaria? What is the status of fogging by municipal corporation? Fogging.
Okay. Foggy. Actually,
Yes.
actually what is done is in Goa, the health was, as of now, the health was responsible for all the preventive measures or control measures to be undertaken. But this year we had a intersectoral coordination in urban development, panchayat, municipality. And this year only we got manpower for source reduction drives, cleanliness drive, as well as fogging in some area, purchase fogging machine and chemical. And they supported us in this fogging. But as of up to now, the health department is responsible for this, all the preventive and control measures.
Second is that, ma'am, in some areas, you can consider distributing this nylon mosquito nets.
Yes, sir.
Chhattisgarh has successfully controlled malaria to a great extent by distributing among BPL people mosquito nets.
So we have also done, so I have mentioned also long-lasting insecticide treated nets are being given to all the construction workers as well as antinators, BPL population that we are doing, that is being undertaken.
I think it should have brought some cases down.
Yes, sir, it has helped because it has helped us in the control because of these interventions, cases came down, especially at the construction site, migrant settlement zones, BPL, that's 20-point program. These strategies helped us.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, please.
Thank you, sir.
मैम मलेरिया फैलता है मच्छरों से, मच्छरों को कंट्रोल करने के लिए या उनकी ब्रीडिंग को रोकने के लिए क्या इंटरवेंशन कर रहे हैं आप लोग?
So we are doing, first of all, we are doing the source reduction drive, cleanliness drive. Wherever there are breeding, so wherever there is potential for stagnation of water, because in Goa we have rainy season, transition season very long. So up to October now it is raining in Goa. So with the help of community, doing the source reduction like that, peats, beaches, environmental this management we are doing to prevent this sort of any beaches and whatever there could be water collection. As well as we are doing anti-larval measures wherever there are by use of chemicals, that is wherever we cannot destroy or prevent water collection and there could be a chance of water collection, we do anti-larval measures. Also fever surveys we are conducting to see if there are any more fever cases in the community. House to house visit, IC, we are doing awareness programs have been conducted. Whenever we are doing house to house visit, just giving the pamphlets, leaflets for them for awareness. As well as whenever there is any case in the community, we take the anti-larval measure, that is fogging operations being conducted.
Okay, good. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
The Electricity
This meeting
Commissions
is being
Act
recorded.
1998, and it is a pioneer regulatory commission among all other regulatory commissions because it is serving the whole National Capital Territory consumers, which is a very big, the consumer database is very large and is a very challenging task to do. And the project, we have nominated actually 2 projects from DRC. First project will be introduced by, the whole presentation will be carried out by our joint director, Mr. Himanshu Chawla. And the next project will be presented by Asmita Dhillon, who is a Deputy Director, Consumer Affairs. So I would like to please introduce Mr. Himanshu Chawla to carry out the presentation further. Thank you so much. Thanks again for nominating DRC for this prestigious award. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Prashasti, for setting up the tone of today's presentation, and very good morning to jury and SKOCH members. So I would begin the presentation. Yes. Is it visible, Ashutosh?
No, sir, it's not visible yet.
Just on what initiatives
This
or
meeting is
steps
being recorded.
DRC has taken for the distribution licensees as well as for the consumers in order to make the system energy efficient. So a brief introduction of DRC has already been given by Prashasti, but just to add on to it, DRC is a state electricity regulatory commission which has been formed under the Electricity Regulatory Commissions Act. And as a regulator, we regulate the 7 entities for the distribution licenses operating in the state of Delhi. It is BSES Rajdhani, BSES Yamuna, Tata Power and NDMC. A state intrastate transmission utility, Delhi Transco Limited and SLDC. And 2 state GENCOs, both are gas-based plants, IPGCL and PPCL. So the main function of DRC is to determine the tariff for all these utilities and also to promote competition, efficiency and economy in the activities of electricity industry in Delhi. Just a small background I would like here to highlight about the power sector in Delhi, pre-unbundling and post-unbundling. Pre-unbundling, it was Delhi Vidyut Board, wherein it can be seen from the presentation since financial year 84 to the date of unbundling in the financial year 2002, the losses, the distribution losses were hovering and they were as high as the 53% loss levels. So the more the loss levels, the more the energy lost into the system, and the burden of this lost energy is being borne by the consumer. So it all leads to the depletion of natural resources at large. Now, this was the main reason which prompted for unbundling and privatization of the power sector in Delhi. In July 2002, Delhi Vidyut Board, it got split into, I discussed in the first slide, various distribution licenses. It got split into separate generation companies, transmission licensee, and the distribution licensee. Now, each sector has its own target, has its own efficiency parameter, has to perform in order to earn incentive. And if they don't perform as per the regulations, they are penalized for such underperformance. This is the geographical demarcation of the distribution licensing operating in the state of Delhi. BSES Rajdhani is controlling South Delhi and West Delhi. Tata is North Delhi, parts of North Delhi. BSES Yamuna is East Delhi, and NDMC is operating in the Lotians Delhi. Another deemed distribution licensee we have it, which is Military Engineering Services, which as per the Act, they are the deemed distribution licensee. Now, whether the reform process was successful or not in Delhi, it can be best monitored from this slide. We started from loss levels of 60%, and now currently we are operating at loss levels of 7%, which is there in the orange graphs, which we can see in the right side of the presentation. So this as per the latest tariff petitions filed for the true up of the DISCOMs. So such declining trajectory has been made possible by regulatory interventions of the Commission of DRC, as well as equal efforts made by the distribution licensees on ground by focusing more on the enforcement activities, decreasing the loss levels by introducing new technologies, upcoming technologies, which we will discuss further in the slides. So the loss levels which we are operating right now, it is far more less than the national average loss levels of 15 to 16%, and we are standing at one of the lowest loss levels in the country. Despite there are still high theft zones, specific if we talk about certain pockets of Delhi, where the loss levels are still 30 to 35%, but overall average weighted average figures comes out to nearly 7.5%. Another thing which reform process brought out is the reduction in the outage part. If we recall, in the early days of Delhi in the 2002-2000, huge outage, maybe 6 hours in a day or 8 hours in a day, there was outage, which is, for example, if we see in this spike, which is coming 5%, is the outage figure in the year 2001. So the total amount of energy which could have supplied and that is not being supplied, it constitutes to 5%. And now we are operating at an outage level of 0.019%, nearly nil outage in the Delhi. So both these technical parameters leads to conclusion that reform process has been successful in Delhi. Now, how the reform process was made successful? Through various technologies, which as a pioneer regulator, DRC has mandated distribution licensees to implement, and they, being highly efficient, have implemented it on time and thereby making an edge towards the other distribution licensees. Like we started first from the SCADA in the year 2008. Next, we had aerial bunched conductors. We have HVDS high voltage distribution system. We have outage management system. We have certain directives which we issue in the tariff orders, which is being adhered and monitored quite vigilantly by the commission, is 1% outage. That means overall in a year, there should not be outage of the total unserved energy of more than 1%. Otherwise, it leads to the penalty to a distribution licensee. Next, we have net metering, which is a bidirectional metering. We have GIS substation, because land in Delhi is highly costly. Therefore, much more focus is there how to reduce this space, how to build up GIS substations. Smart prepaid metering. This is being employed in those areas where there is more highly theft prone zones. Next, upcoming technologies which we have already implemented is the smart meters, smart grid, demand management system. Now, coming specifically on today's theme, which we have, it is the demand side management. Now, this, if we talk about demand side management, can be achieved. It's basically a combination of energy conservation and energy efficiency. For example, we tell at home to our kids, switch off the light when not in use. So that is a concept of energy conservation without using any efficient appliances. Next is the energy efficiency part, which through various regulations, through various principles, or through installation of energy efficient devices, a consumer as well as the distribution licensees are prompted to achieve the reduction in the demand. Now the demand, if we in the next slide, if we will come back to this slide again. This is a typical load curve of a Delhi. If I talk about certain statistics, the peak demand of Delhi ranges somewhere in the 7,500 megawatt. Now this peak demand, we cannot have power purchase tied up to this peak demand, because in the winters the peak demand is high, is as low as 4,000 megawatt. And even on the day when peak demand is getting touched in summers, the minimum demand is just 4,000 megawatt. So there is a gap of 3,500 megawatt in a day when peak is there. And the maximum demand of winter is even less than the minimum demand of the summer season. So Delhi is having highly typical load curve as compared to other metropolitan cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Calcutta. Those are the coastal areas where there is not that much temperature variation and load curve is nearly flattened. To a distribution licenses finds it's quite easy to operate in such a flattened load curve rather than such an erratic load curve. Now, what is the problem in operation of this erratic load curve is basically what will be my base load. If I tie up base load for 6,000 megawatt, so I don't require that 6,000 megawatt for even 90% of time in a year. So what will happen? The more the PPA, the more will be the fixed cost burden to the consumer when that power is not required. Now, for example, if I tie up my base load for 2,000 megawatt, then for maximum time, I am depending upon the short-term power purchase medium like exchange, banking, bilateral. And if we just recall what has happened over the last 5 to 6 months, the impact of due to the blending of the coal, CRC was prompted to have a price capping of 12 rupees per unit. So in short-term markets are highly volatile, highly dynamic. Prices are ranging as high as 12 rupees per unit. So to operate in such an erratic load curve, it is highly what to say, it is very tough, very tedious aspect as far as regulator as well as the distribution licenses are concerned. So through demand side management, what is being focused upon are the two major activities. First one is the value filling and second one is the peak clipping. Now Delhi gets its load curve mainly during the time period of 3 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. and we have night peak also around 11 p.m. to 12 midnight. So the focus through various demand side management initiatives is to clip the peak and segregate it and divert it to the off-peak area. For this, one of the principles which we have adopted in the early 2012 is the time of day tariff. Yes.
Sorry for interruption, sir. Can you please conclude your presentation?
Okay.
By 1 minute also.
Yes. So various demand side management initiatives which we have taken is first is basically peak and off peak pricing, which is the time of day tariff. Next, as a regulator, we have focused so much on demand side management schemes. Like we are one of the first regulator to have AC replacement scheme. So AC load is so high dominant in Delhi, which is one of the major reason for the erratic load curve. So 35,000 non-star rated ACs have been replaced with the 5-star rated ACs. We have certain upcoming technologies in the demand side management which we have implemented is the automated demand response. wherein we have shed load of 14 megawatt. We have a replacement of brushless DC fans with conventional fans. Conventional fans have a capacity of 50-55 watts, whereas brushless DC fans, they have 25 to 30 watt capacities. So now all these initiatives, if we can see, the third column of this table has led to savings of 761 million units till date. Now 1 million unit is 10 to the power of 6 units, which leads to a saving of 1 unit reduction of saving leads to 0.5 kg of coal saved, natural resources, which from where the presentation began. So it has led till now to 30,000 tons of coal, which we have saved only by the implementation of demand side management scheme. So DRC endeavors to supply 24/7 power through energy transition from conventional to green, leading to sustainable environment. So we have also promoted various green initiatives, like we have net metering in place. Being such a land-packed city, we have installed more than 180 megawatt of rooftop solar and have exceeded the targets of even some of the biggest states in spite of operating in a state. We have, so these are the awards which we have recently won. DRC, last year we have won silver award in by SKOCH in ensuring quality and accessibility of 24/7 power. As well as we have been recognized on the international level. This is the Brazil, which has contemplated our regulations on net metering. We have been also awarded by Indian Smart Grid Forum by having innovative policies and regulations to promotion of renewable and smart grids in India. So that's all from the energy efficiency side. So it's basically an prime mover towards a resultant of our energy independence. Thank you.
Thank you, Himanshuji. Excellent project. In fact, you have done very commendable jobs by lowering T&D losses from 50%, 53% to 7% in particularly in distribution companies. This is a very laudable achievement. But you say that ACs were replaced and BLDC blade fans were adopted. But these are individuals, consumers' own decisions. What is your role in that?
Yes, sir. As a regulator, the schemes which we have framed, we have made it so lucrative that consumer is promoted to opt those schemes. For example, if I begin with the AC replacement scheme, a consumer normally gets 2,000, 3,000 rupees when they sell their old AC to any of the outside if they sell it. Now, through our AC replacement scheme, through regression analysis, we have developed an equation and given it to the DISCOM in the form of Y is equal to MX plus C, wherein a consumer as an incentive gets as high as 7,000, 8,000 rupees on 1.5 ton split AC. Discount. So it is a twofold discount which a consumer is getting. First of all, DISCOM, when they deal directly with AC manufacturers like Voltas, Daikin, Hitachi, first they get the volume discount. That volume discount is being passed on to the consumer. And secondly, what will happen to a distribution licensee? Their power purchase cost is getting optimized and their capital investment, the Capex, for example, a DT which is already operating at 80% or 85% loading, and through that DT distribution transformer, if 100 consumers are connected and out of that, for example, 20 consumers go for this scheme, and the loading on the DT get reduced to 70%. So Capex saving is also there. So cascading effect of Capex saving and power purchase cost optimization, again we have computed through regression analysis, it will be an again 5,000 rupees saving to a consumer, because the distribution losses is getting reduced for the DISCOM as a whole, which they get benefit in the form of reduced power purchase cost. So in a way, consumer is getting far less price of a 5-star rated AC or which is there in the market now, inverter ACs, even quite less from as compared to Amazon, Flipkart, or even if you talk about Vijay sales or all those things, 3,000-4,000 even lesser than what they get from the online platform. So this is the reason which has made our AC replacement scheme highly successful. And now this scheme has also been adopted by neighboring states of Delhi like Haryana. because consumers residing in
Excellent work.
Faridabad, Gurgaon, they always have this aspect ki in Delhi, if it can be done, we are also there in Delhi NCR, so we should also be getting such benefits.
No, in fact, AC load is very huge as far as
Yes.
summer load curve is.
And sir, just one more thing here I would like to add. Here we have in our orders, in our AC replacement order, we have also ensured that old AC, inefficient AC, is not being reused in the grid. It should not be. It should be taken out of the Delhi grid and injected into place somewhere in Haryana or UP. So here we have made clear-cut instructions that AC compressor should be cut vertically, and AC should be disposed of in an environmental friendly way. There are agencies which do this task in the Bhavana area, and Discoms give us the video recording proof, each and every AC serial number, and we have all the data of 35,000 ACs which company has dismantled such AC in an environmental friendly way, so that they cannot be
Thank you,
reused
please.
in the grid.
Thank you. Got it. Thank you, please.
Thank you, sir.
Himanshu ji, excellent work being done by DERC. There is no doubt on this. But I would like to know about subsidy given by the government on residential to the residential consumers. So does any type of subsidy leads to suboptimal use of natural resources? So what is your take on that? What is being done by DRC in that regard?
Sir, as a regulator, I would like to say, and as per the Act Section 65, subsidy is the subject of the state government. And but as far as regulator is concerned, sir, we don't take subsidy part in our tariff computation. We determine the tariff without subsidy, and that subsidy is being later on announced by the government.
I know that के एक्ट के अंदर में सब्सिडी के लिए क्या लिखा हुआ है, बट ओनली थिंग इज के डीआरसी को कुछ इनोवेशन लगाना चाहिए ताकि जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है, चाहे दिल्ली की गवर्नमेंट है, चाहे किसी दिल्ली के बाहर जितनी भी हमारी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स हैं, वो सब्सिडी ड्रिवन मैकेनिज्म को ना ला पाए. इसके लिए कुछ इनोवेशन लगाइए और तभी तो आपको अवार्ड दिया जाएगा.
ठीक है सर, वी विल
आपके जो एफर्ट्स हैं वो तो ठीक है. ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी इज वर्किंग ऑन दिस. उसी को आप लोग सप्लीमेंट भी करते हैं और डीआरसी अपनी गाइडलाइंस रिवैम्प करता रहता है. एंड सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट की जितनी भी एक्टिविटीज आपने बताई ये बहुत रिमार्केबल है. तो कुछ इनोवेशन उसके बारे में भी लगाएं और सोचें कि भी उसको कैसे कंटेन किया जा सकता है. बस मेरा इतना ही सबमिशन है. थैंक यू. गुड प्रेजेंटेशन.
I'll highlight to our higher authority regarding this aspect.
हाँ, तो जो अगला अवार्ड आपका अगर स्कॉच दे तो वो आपको इस सिस्टम को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए दे.
ठीक है सर.
आई नो कि उसको उसमें डीआरसी एंटर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की पावर्स में आप लोग एंटर नहीं कर सकते, पर हम टेक्निकली तो कुछ ऐसी चीजें कर सकते हैं जिससे कि लोगों को खुद समझ आ जाए या पॉलिटिशियंस को खुद समझ में आ जाए कि भाई सब्सिडी को देने से बेटर है कि ये काम कर दिया जाए. तो उससे लोगों को आप सब्सिडी भी दे पा रहे हैं और साथ में टेक्निकली हम उन चीजों को इम्प्रूव कर पा रहे हैं.
जी,
थैंक यू. गुड प्रेजेंटेशन.
बात ये सुरेंद्र जी कि ये जो है ना, जो सब्सिडी वाला इशू है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एक्ट में जब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी रेगुलेटरी कमीशन सेटअप किए गए, उनका प्राइम ऑब्जेक्टिव ही यही था कि फाइनेंशियल डिसिप्लिन लाया जाए डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेगमेंट में. इट वाज प्राइम ऑब्जेक्टिव, और वही अगर डिफीट हो जाएगा तो फिर देन इट विल बिकम ए नेवर एंडिंग इशू.
सर एक्चुअली एक्ट के अंदर में स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को पावर दी गई कि अगर आप सब्सिडी देना चाहते हैं तो आप उसको सेपरेट रखेंगे और यूटिलिटी को लॉस नहीं होगा, है ना. पर यह है कि कुछ इनोवेटिव स्कीम्स टेक्निकल लोग लगा सकते हैं ताकि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट उस चीज को करने से थोड़ा सा डरे, या हम कैसे कर सकते हैं, वही इनोवेटिव पार्ट है.
बिल्कुल
इसमें इसमें बस एक छोटा सा सबमिशन था सर. सब्सिडी दिल्ली में लाइक डिस्कॉम बिल रेज करता है as per the tariff of determined by DRC to a consumer,
right,
even to a subsidized consumer also. That subsidy in a way is being provided full through by state government to a discom.
I know Himanshu ji,
वो तो रिइंबर्स करती है ना, वो तो रिइंबर्स करती है.
that part I know. देखिए
जानते हैं
हम लोग एफिशिएंसी की बात कर रहे हैं. जैसे ही हम कोई सब्सिडी किसी को देते हैं तो हम बिजली को मतलब we take it as भाई ये तो फ्री में आ रहा है, चलो जितना मर्जी यूज करो.
मिसयूज भी हो सकता है.
राइट. तो
बात ये है ना कि मतलब इकोनॉमिक्स के टर्म में अगर हम बात करें तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जैसे कमोडिटी है, ऐसी ही शुगर कमोडिटी है, चीनी भी है, दूध भी है. तो इकोनॉमिक्स के हिसाब से ये इट इज as good as any other commodity. तो इसको इस एंगल से देखना चाहिए.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you sir.
So
This meeting is being recorded.
So my topic of like I am electronic engineer by profession and I am looking after consumer assistance division in DRC. So my topic of presentation is alternate dispute resolution measures for consumer under Electricity Act. Is the presentation visible, sir?
Not right now.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Stop. Yeah. I am electronic engineer
This meeting is being recorded
by profession, and I have been looking after consumer assistance division in DRC. So my project is alternative dispute resolution measures for consumer under Electricity Act. So basically the project is on all the measures which a consumer can opt for redressing his grievances rather than going to a court, and which will help in saving his time and as well as the cost. So I shall be discussing all the provisions and all the forums which a regulatory commission can opt for redressing the grievance of a consumer in a shorter time. Next.
Ma'am, click on the second slide. The slide will move.
So the alternate dispute resolutions refers to any method of dispute which is being redressed outside the court. So the ADR measures in electricity sector are less adversarial, and they help in achieving the results in a shorter period of time as compared to litigation, which is the adversarial form of adversarial process for resolving the disputes. So ADR measures help in resolving the disputes in a shorter time. So government has notified the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, and in regulatory commission also the regulator can refer the matter to arbitration, which can lead to solving of dispute in a shorter time. And recently of late the government has notified the Electricity Right of Consumers Bill 2020. The aforesaid bill, this also promotes the alternate dispute redressal forums in electricity sector. ADR in electricity sector has led to efficacious and speedy disposal of grievances. This project is divided into three heads, and first head is consumer rights, the second head is consumer rights protection, and number 3 is consumer advocacy in electricity sector.
So basically the objective of the project to examine in detail the various legal provisions in the context of consumer protection in the electricity sector. So we shall be discussing the what are the provisions under which the ADR forums and dispute resolution forums which have been formed by under the extant provisions of the Electricity Act. So the various ADR methods in electricity sector that we shall be discussing in the further are Consumer Grievances Redressal Forum, Ombudsman, Permanent Lok Adalat, and the role of Regulatory Commission in arbitration and the complaint handling in Regulatory Commission. And we shall be also be reviewing the number of cases so that we can see how much the load is being received by the Regulatory Commission and solving the grievances, and by the Cgrf, Ombudsman, and the Regulatory Commission, so that we can see how much grievances are being solved, or rather they are reaching to a conclusive end rather than going through litigation. So this project is divided into three heads. We shall be discussing the consumer rights, obligations, consumer charters, and how the consumer rights are being protected, Cgrf, Ombudsman, Permanent Lok Adalat, and what are the various measures adopted by the DISCOMs and the Regulatory Commission for consumer advocacy and for consumer awareness. So the preamble, basically for consumer rights, the preamble of the Act itself says that the protection of consumer interest is the prime motive of the Regulatory Commission. So in compliance with Section 57 of the Electricity Act, all of the state electricity regulatory commissions, they have to make the standard of performance regulations by which all the DISCOMs have to release the new connections and decrease the loads, which will define the consumer rights, like in how much time the electricity connection has to be given to the consumer by the distribution company, and they are aware about the service standards that are to be maintained by the distribution licensee. And the DRC has been issuing the consumer charter, which is encompassing all of the regulations of the supply code and performance standard regulations, which are being made by DRC in a comprehensive format, so that it is very easy for a layman consumer to comprehend, and he can easily understand in how much time the connection will be released. And so the second head is consumer right protection and various ADR forums in electricity sector. The number one forum, which is very important in Delhi, there are 4 CGRFs as per the area. 4 CGRFs are being made, and each of the CGRF, Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum, is having the chairman along with the 4 members, and they decide upon the dispute between the consumer and the distribution licensee. In the first step, the consumer will approach the distribution licensee, and if he is aggrieved by the solution provided by the distribution licensee, or he is not satisfied by the services provided by the distribution licensee, he shall approach the Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum as formed under the Section 42(5) of the Electricity Act. And if the consumer is aggrieved by the decision of CGRF, that is Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum, he shall approach the appellate authority over the CGRF, that is Ombudsman. And in Delhi, there is single Ombudsman who is looking after the aggrieved people who are coming for their grievances, and they are coming to Ombudsman. So as per Electricity Act, Section 42(6) lays emphasis on the establishment of Ombudsman in each state. The other forums, the alternate dispute redressal forums, being like in the electricity sector, is Permanent Lok Adalat. With Permanent Lok Adalat, it is offloading the burden of the courts and the state authorities in different parts of the country by looking into the cases of thefts and they are settling by theft and unauthorized use of electricity. So rather than going to a court, and a consumer can go to a lok adalat and he can settle his dispute with less cost and by saving his time and reducing the burden on the courts, and he can get the best outcome for his problem of theft of electricity. And the lok adalats have been established under the aegis of Delhi Legal Services Authorities Act, and most of the consumers, they are approaching the PLAs and the alternate dispute redressal forums for getting their grievances redressed in a shorter period of time. And it's a permanent lok adalat is a pre-litigative mechanism for conciliation and settle, and it is having one chairman and along with two members. And the award, the permanent lok adalat, what it is doing, it is passing an award, and that award is binding upon both the parties, the consumer and the discom, and he cannot challenge upon that award. The jurisdiction of permanent lok adalat is up to 1 crore, and the permanent lok adalats are looking after the other public utility services like electricity, water, and other utility services, and they are providing a faster resolution of the consumer grievances. And commission has as per the regulations of Electricity Act, the consumer, the commission can refer any of the matter between the distribution licensee and the generating company if it finds fit for arbitration as per section 86F and 158 of Electricity Act. And in promoting the dispute redressal in a shorter and at a fast speed, the Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission has also made a consumer assistance advisory cell which is looking after the grievances of consumer, and they are being settled and being resolved in a very short period of time. So basically the consumer is saving the time and the cost, and is happy to solve his grievance in a shorter period of time. So the third head under the project is consumer advocacy. So under consumer advocacy, both the regulatory commission and the distribution companies, they are issuing the consumer charter, which is having all the information related to supply code and performance standard regulations, which are related to consumer in a very easy form that a layman consumer can easily comprehend. And the other important measures being done by the discoms, they are providing a very easy information of all the like new connection. If you want to reduce the load, you can do it on their website. So it's very easy for all the consumers to do whatever they want for their electricity connection. And the complaint filing can also be done if there is any problem with related to electricity connection. It can be filed on the distribution company's website. And the setting up of consumer advisory cell for consumer awareness and consumer participation can be increased. GRC is also for awareness of public, for awareness of general public. It has been time and again issuing public awareness bulletins in public domain related to the generic issues which are going upon, like where a person can approach for his electricity related grievances, like Cgrf, ombudsman, and he can approach the distribution company office also in the first instance, and how the like electricity tariffs are being calculated on single point delivery, and how the like energy meters are being tested. So DRC has been, whatever the like current issue is being arisen, DRC has been laying emphasis and has been promoting it, public awareness bulletin, so that a general public is aware where he can go and what type of technology and is adopted by the commission for getting the grievance redressed.
Sorry for interruption, ma'am. Can you please conclude your presentation in 2 minutes?
Yes, I shall be taking only 2 minutes. And these are the like disposal of grievances by the Cgrf and the ombudsman for the financial year 2021 and 2022. this shows that large number of people are going to the CGRF and ombudsman for getting their grievances redressed, which shows that the significant number of people are utilizing this forum to get their grievance redressed in a shorter period of time and saving the cost and reducing the burden on the courts. And this is the like complaints which are being handled by the Consumer Assistance Division in DRC and for the financial year 21-22, and it is up to March. So the grievances were received in DRC for the pendency is nil. And what are the challenges is through are in this project is to educate consumer about the various forums in electricity sector, because a layman person may not know where to go when he is having any like problem related to electricity connection. Like they should be aware of all the forums, PLAs, ombudsman, CGRF, and coming to the commission also, and software upgradation of discoms, and to ensure the grievances are redressed in a time bound manner, and to monitor various ADR forums, CGRF, ombudsman, like if they are disposing the grievances in the given time as per the regulations. And excellence and outcome of the project is to like the time, basically the time and cost is the thing which is the very important and crucial in anybody's life. So the ADR measures in electricity sector, they are saving the time and cost of a consumer, and they are win-win for both the parties because the time taken is very less, and it has led to efficacious and speedy disposal of grievances. And generally the orders passed by CGRF and ombudsman, they are in favor of consumers, so the consumers are very happy to go to CGRF and ombudsman for getting their grievances redressed. And replicability is these kind of measures that what DRC is adopting, they can be adopted by other state electricity regulatory commissions as well. And in future, if any of the regulation is not complied, supply code, so automatic credit compensation can be done. And location of CGRS and permanent lok adalat should be established at more places so that the consumers can get their grievances redressed. And the consumer, more of the consumer participation, representatives from many districts can be there so that they can put their matters and queries. Thank you so much for giving me time to present my presentation.
Good presentation, ma'am. In fact, what is the normal time taken by this CGRF forum to address consumers' grievances?
Sir,
Normally.
it is normally as per CGRF and ombudsman regulation, it is 60 days. They have to dispose the grievances in 60 days, and they are disposing the grievances in 60 days unless and until there is some logical, like they are not reaching to a logical conclusion. And ombudsman has to dispose of the grievance in 90 days, and they are doing some of the cases that like ombudsman, some of the cases after ombudsman the people are approaching high court, so that cases are pending. Otherwise generally the cases are being disposed by CGRF and ombudsman as per the extent regulation. So
I think given the size and scale of Delhi electricity consumers, the statistics which you have presented, it is not very much. It means that these distribution companies are also addressing consumer grievances quite efficiently. This is
yes sir,
what I
yes sir,
what I feel.
majority, yes sir, majority of the complaints are being disposed by distribution companies. Then the less number of people
Sure.
not satisfied with the distribution companies, they are approaching CGRF. Then again the small percentage of people are approaching the
Sure.
ombudsman. Sir.
Sure.
Yes sir.
That your statistics shows that.
Yes sir, yes
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you,
Yes sir.
please.
Thank you sir, thank you sir.
Ma'am, if a verdict has been given in favor of a consumer and the DISCOM does not obey that, the consumer is going to ombudsman. So if again the
CGRF is giving a verdict.
in favor of a consumer,
Yes sir.
for example, I'm just taking an
Yes sir.
example,
Yes
and
sir.
the
Yes sir.
utility does not obey that.
Yes sir. Compliance is not done.
Compliance is not being done. then the consumer, what consumer will do and what CGRF will do?
Sir, basically for execution of the order, the consumer, if DISCOM is not obeying the order of CGRF, then consumer will go to ombudsman for execution of order.
Right. If still the consumer utility does not obey, then
Then they have two options, sir. They can come to the State Electricity Regulatory Commission, DRC, because we are the regulators. And the second option, he can go to the High Court and he can file a writ petition for that matter in the
so
High Court, sir.
okay. How many cases are there like this?
Sir, some cases, 6-7 cases of ombudsman are there which are not being complied. In either the DISCOM or the consumer is not happy with the decision of ombudsman, so they have filed a writ petition in the High Court. 6-7 cases are there, sir.
Okay. Is it
Yeah.
possible, suppose I take an hypothetical situation that a large number of cases the utility is not obeying. So
Yes, sir.
in that case, what powers the DRC has to deal with the utility?
Sir, in that case, if utility is not obeying the orders, so regulatory commission, as per my information and understanding, as per Delhi Electricity Reforms Act under section 30-31, they can come to DRC if they are not complying with the orders, and they can come to DRC for the non-execution of orders. Sir.
So what maximum step DRC can take against utilities so that they start adhering to the DRC? I'm just trying
They
to
can, at the max, sir, they can cancel the licenses, they can revoke.
so do they have powers? DRC has the powers to cancel the license?
Yes, sir, as per regulations, if the distribution company is not, it's a maximum, sir, but generally it doesn't
No,
happen.
it will.
But they can, like under section 142, they can penalize the discoms, or under section 142, they can 5,000 rupees per day, they can put a penalty upon the
Okay.
discom for violations of the rules and regulations, any made under the Electricity Act or of the Electricity Act. So they can penalize the discoms, sir.
Okay.
Regulatory, yes, sir.
Okay.
And DRC is hearing the cases, sir, for the violation of rules and regulations, if any, by the distribution companies under section 142, sir. And up to 1 lakh rupees, they can impose a penalty, sir, if there is any. But generally, the cases do settle before the penalty is imposed. Discom and the consumer, they settle the cases, sir.
Excellent efforts by DRC and worth replicating in other states.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Consumer is actually the paramount of importance, sir.
Delhi is a classic example of system improvement in power sector, and,
Yes, sir.
DRC has done wonderful.
Thank you, sir, for applauding, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.